Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "While we teach, we learn," highlighting the symbiotic relationship between imparting knowledge and personal growth. Hi everyone, it's great to see you again. And if you are new to the channel, my name is Bill Benoist and I'm all about embracing retirement with purpose, passion, and new beginnings. One of my goals this year was to learn Photoshop. To really understand it because it's a massive platform. And as an amateur photographer who's also trying to get better, that's another one of my goals this year, I'm fairly comfortable in Lightroom. Lightroom and Photoshop combined as my subscription with Adobe. And I've always kind of let Photoshop sit over there the side. I'm editing in Lightroom and I'm finished, with a photo. But I really wanted to understand how Photoshop works, and I've been working on learning that platform. I've talked about being a continuous learner in other videos. It's so important, not only in our careers, but also once we retire, because it's going to help keep the mind active. And one of the things that I have been working on in Photoshop is how to make a creative photo, what I would say something that looks very impressionistic. And I wanted to share that process with you because, again, I'm hoping that by sharing it will help myself learn Photoshop a little bit better. Let's go ahead and move into the dining room and I'll share my setup with you for this photo. Pretty simple setup, as you can see. I'm using a tabletop background kit. I purchased this from Amazon. It was only about $20. It comes with 5 or 6 different colored boards, the clips to hold everything in place, even a nice little carrying bag. Again, only $20. I have a window over on the left, so I'm using natural lighting. There's also a window behind this project, but honestly, the light from that window is not going to play any significant factor in the final picture. As far as the camera, I'm using a Fuji XT4. It's sitting on a tripod because I'm going to be shooting with a very slow shutter speed. The ISO is set at 1600, 23 millimeter prime lens, and the aperture is f8. Shutter speed is, like I say, slow. It's 1/10 of a second. One thing that I have turned on is the self-timer. I've set it at 2 seconds because when I move this glass, it's going to start shaking the flower a little bit, and I just want to make sure that there's enough time for that shaking to stop. So let me go ahead and show you what's happening. We've just shot the first picture, and you see that's 2 seconds. Now I'm going to turn the glass a little bit, shoot the next picture. One of the key things that you really need to remember is that you want to try your best to keep the glass in the same position as each time you rotate it. I know that I'm not being exact there, but I'm trying to keep it as close as possible. We will be aligning this up in the layers, and I'll show you that in a couple of moments. This technique is called shooting in the realm. This is a technique that really became popular by a photographer named pepventosa. I loved his work. He by far is my favorite photographer. I'm, into creative photography. I've been able to, kind of briefly chat with him a little bit on his Facebook page, and also I follow him on Instagram. I just recently learned that he lives in San Francisco. It's only about 35 miles up the freeway from where I'm at in San Jose. I thought he lived in Barcelona. All this time I thought he was over, across the ocean someplace, and here I find out that he's just a few miles up the freeway. Someday I hope that maybe I'll get a chance to meet him. He does his own work in the he calls it his digital dark room. He does everything by himself, but he has photos and some galleries and stuff. Just remarkable work. So as you see, we're coming up to the final rotation. I think we got 2 more. Yeah, we're going to have 2 more here, and then we're going to import all of these into Lightroom, and we're going to do some editing. So let me show you that process. So I have these in a folder called Sunday 2. And I'm going to go ahead and bring these in. And I'm just going to simply go up and click on Edit, Select All. And then we're going to go ahead and click on the Import. Once this is done, I'm going to click on the Develop tab up in the top right-hand corner. And we're going to start editing the very first photo. We're not going to have to edit all of the photos. You see, we have 16 photos, but what we're going to do is just edit the first one. And then we're going to sync our edit to all of the remaining 15 photos. So first thing I want to do is get some cropping done. So I'm going to bring this into just the black background. As I was mentioning, that's why, you know, the window behind this setup really wasn't going to factor into anything. Now I notice that the table is a little bit crooked, so I want to use the level option and I'm going to try and level that. I'm looking at the second line from the bottom, just trying to get that a little bit straighter along the table's edge. Now it's looking pretty close. But I do notice that I'm going to have to recrop because there's something there on the bottom right-hand corner. It's one of the clips that's holding that backdrop in place. So that does look better, I think. And now what we want to do is we want to go in and get some editing. So what I'm going to do is essentially work with the highlights, the shadows, the whites, and the blacks. This is what I want you to understand. This is what I think is such a personal decision. I can tell you that if there was 10 of us in a room and we were all working with the same picture, I think this picture would come out looking 10 ways different in, you know, the final shot. So now I'm going to go up and I'm going to synchronize the settings. Essentially, I'm hitting settings, synchronize settings, and I'm just going to keep everything at default. And now we've got every picture synced with those same settings. So now what I want to do is I'm going to click on Edit, Select All, and I'm going to actually, I go up and click on the Photo tab and then Edit, Open as Layers in Photoshop. And so this process takes a couple of minutes. I'm actually speeding up this video for this part because, you know, essentially it does take a few minutes. I'm also going to go up and reverse the layers. So I do I select layers along the top, and then I click on Arrange, and then I click on Reverse. And now what I want to do is I want to turn the visibility off on each one of these layers. So I'm just clicking on that little eyeball, and that's turning the visibility off, except for the bottom layer. So now what I'm going to do is for each one of these, I'm going to go through and I'm going to be playing with the opacity and the blend mode. So the opacity, you see there's a little lever right there, and I like to start out with high on the beginning layers. I like to start out as a high opacity, and then as we work through, I'm going to keep lowering the opacity. As far as the blending mode, I mean, this is where you really become creative. So there is no wrong or right way to do this. There's only how you like the photo. So you can see that what I'm doing is I'm just highlighting each one of these, and it's changing the look of the photo. And when I find something that I really like, I go ahead and select that one. So I have the Move tool now, and essentially I want to make sure that that glass, that Scotch glass that normally holds a nice Scotch in the evenings, is aligned with the bottom layer. So now we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to go up and hit that opacity, and I think we're going to go down to about 90% and 85%, because I had already lowered that one the first time. And let's just take a look. This is called blend mode. So you see there's a lot of options, and each one of the options gives you something different. So we got to do this 16 times. Well, actually, we've already done 3 of them, and we just have to again select the opacity. One thing that I would encourage you to do is with the opacity, start out high, and then each layer work a little bit lower. There is no set number of photos that you want to go ahead and shoot. I mean, you know, again, pepventosa, I've read he might do 100 of these, but I got to tell you, that takes a lot of computer power. So again, I'm just going through each one of the processes. The opacity I'm lowering, and I'm playing with the blending modes. I'm selecting what I like. All right, so we got a few more. 65% opacity, and we're going to straighten this out a little bit. There we go, looks straight. And we'll go into the blend mode. We'll find something here we like. You notice each one of the blend modes really can make an enhancement to the photo. And when we layer all of these on top of each other, it's called flattening out. And I'll go over that in just a second. We combine all of this into just one final photo. There are so many blend mode options, and each one just adds something a little bit different. And again, this is what I was saying. 10 people can have the same picture, and there's going to be 10 different outcomes. And it's really a matter, I think, of personal taste. You stop at what you like. Don't worry about what other people, if they like it. So it looks like we have just about 2 photos left. We're getting lower in the opacity. We're in the 20s now. And now we're on the final one. We've done a 360. Just can't decide on the opacity. And now I have to make another decision on the blend mode. So now what I want to do is do a Command Option Shift plus the letter E. And I'm essentially flattening all of the layers into one single image. And now we're going to export the photo, and we're going to see our end result. What do you think, guys? I mean, it's pretty simple, right? So I know this video is a little bit different than what I normally do, but I wanted to show you the process that I use when shooting this way. And I think it's kind of a fun process. And you know, I'm all about photography. That's my passion. My purpose is this YouTube channel, and my new beginning is retirement. So I hope you found this video enjoyable, fun. If you haven't done so already, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification, as I am uploading new videos every Tuesday, and I'd hate for you to miss one. Thanks again for stopping by, and I'll see you next week. Take care.